And we are live. If we are live, Robin, if you're still out there, Robin has been anxiously awaiting our arrival. Thank you, Robin. Let us know you're out there. Check in, say hi. It's Julie here from Vim and Jackson Hole once again. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether it is immediately right now over the next 30 to 40 minutes while Doris and I talk, or you're going to be able to have access to this video forever and ever and ever. So I am so happy. First of all, I'm going to reintroduce myself. My name is 𝘰𝘳𝘪𝘴 𝘛𝘩𝘪𝘴 and I own Vim, which is a fitness studio here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And over the past few months, as everyone's world has changed, right? I have started doing some of these Facebook Lives to really bring some of the amazing people who have been a part of my life and have an authentic voice and really an authentic message. That is something that I wanted to bring to the forefront. So I'm here to introduce the one, the only Doris Süß. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you, what we do get is a lot of people in a lot of, from fitness enthusiasts to fitness professionals to everyone all across the country. So what I love about Doris, as I'm going to introduce you to her, is that her message has always been positive. So when I've been watching some of these posts that she's made over the past few months, I knew I wanted to bring her knowledge and her enthusiasm to the forefront. Now, if those of you who don't know who Doris Süß is, so I'm going to go way back to when I opened my studio before the Civil War. There we were about 8.5 years ago. I opened my studio here in Jackson, and a lot of the foundation was built on Schwinn indoor cycling. And out of sheer luck, I had actually never met Doris. She was the master trainer who came and trained up my instructors to open 8.5 years ago. I mean, well, it'll be 9 before we know it. And since then, she has trained virtually every instructor how to row and bring the most amazing program to my facility, a great HIIT program. You have been a mentor to not only this studio, but myself, because Doris also lifted me up in the industry, and I am a Schwinn master trainer as well. And I have so much of that to thank from you. But who is Doris? Well, she can go way back and tell you her story as well. But she is an international award-winning fitness educator. And I had the pleasure to watch you give your acceptance speech just a year ago in, where were we? Anaheim, where she won the 2019 World Idea Fitness Instructor of the Year Award, which in our world, that is the crème de la crème, my friend. You are an inspiration in so many ways. And I'm going to, from here, so that I don't forget any of the amazing products and people that you work with, so that you can share a little more about yourself. And take it away, my friend.
Okay, was that seriously a year ago?
No, I know. No, wow. It was a lifetime.
Yeah, the world has changed so much. So yeah, I have been very blessed to grow up in the fitness industry. I started in 1984. I was a junior in high school behind a front desk, and thank God the 6 a.m. instructor didn't show up. So I pulled up my leg warmers, and I almost jumped over the front desk, and I taught my very first group fitness class, which was to an album, 𝘂𝘂𝘳𝘪𝘴 Glamorous Life album. And I actually taught my song leading routine, which was hilarious. And then when they figured that out, I took them out in the parking lot and we did suicide sprints, because I was on my way to being an athletic scholarship softball player. And it's so funny, because I was the #1 instructor with no CPR and no certifications and not a lot of experience, just a lot of energy. And I never looked back. And so my career has taken me from that all the way up to be an executive for multiple companies, as well as being, an international presenter and senior global trainer and mentor for major brands such as Core Health and Fitness, and being on the international development team. And it's funny that I've seen the world riding a bike in the dark going nowhere, jumping on buses, whether it be Shanghai or South Korea or somewhere in Canada. In Winnipeg, I have traveled the globe through health and fitness. And along the way, I've always had a business mindset. And I've always been able to see the future, which is good and bad. Good because you're an early adopter and they think you're crazy. Like, why would you row? That's what the old guys do in the corner.
Right.
Really? You heard of 𝘍𝘪𝘵? Have you heard of them? Yeah, well, it's not. It's a staple now. And so I've been really blessed to have seen trends. I've also been really blessed to surround myself with really good people. And I've been really blessed in that regard to have sponsors, mentors, and champions. And those are three separate relationships that are critical for success. I've always been very picky about my brands, who I hang out with. I also have the most amazing husband who supports me, and family and super good friends. I don't have a lot of super good friends. I know a lot of people, but my super good friends are my super good friends that tell you there's broccoli in your teeth and don't wear those jeans and jump on my back and I'll take you down the streets of Jackson Hole because you're too cold in your little light Southern California clothes in December to have dinner. But that's another story. But I have always been one for being resilient. I'm the baby of 5. I'm scrappy. The first one up is the best one dressed. And, I've just always hustled and had this entrepreneurial spirit in me that I was just genetically gifted with. And I was able to work in an industry that was just kind of like a hobby and actually turn into a pretty successful, lucrative career. So I've been super blessed. But with that being said, the world has changed. Yes?
So much.
So let's talk about that change. Change is uncomfortable, but it could be really beautiful when it's done because you'll see a lot of yourself in it. And so, I can tell you this beautiful story about how last year I thanked over 4,000 of my closest friends in that hall. There's over 4,000 people. My mentor from Apple, the director of technologies for the Apple Watch, the senior director, was the lifetime award winner. And so I had him there. I had my CEO, who I followed to 2 companies. I had my mom, who hasn't really seen me teach in a while because my dad had been sick. My son, Julie, was there. My Schwinn team, my BOSU team, everybody was there. And I was able to thank everybody for what a great career I've had. So, I was a senior vice president of a company. I had it on lockdown. This is I'm done. Woo, I'm done. And then, guess what happened? Pandemic happened. And pandemics happen, and you have the ability to do a few things. You can freeze and stay where you're at, which is a really scary place because staying still is not good. Being comfortable is not good. And there's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Really good book. And there's also the ability to look at challenges as opportunities. And I think the pandemic at first, when it first hit, I had literally our company was great. It was doing great. I was doing great. Everything was great. And we're like, this pandemic, what's this about? And what was funny about it was I was asked to speak for World Idea. And I literally went on the record saying, it's a reset. It's an opportunity for us to really appreciate everything we have. And we've been so competitive. So let's all collaborate and hold hands and kumbaya, and we'll get through this. Well, literally 4 weeks later, I'm like, no, this is a redo. And so with that being said, we went from reset, what is this, to holy smokes, to wow, the game has changed. And so I knew it was going to be bad. I had that instinct. And when I knew it was, I knew right away what choices I had to make, which was to move forward, stay still, or let someone else write my story. And so I was blessed enough to work for a really good company that gave me 2 great offers. And I chose the offer that was best for my family and for me personally, that serves the industry that I love for 37 years. And so I decided in July of this year to actually leave my beautiful executive role. And I have great feelings towards the company, and they're going to do great, and everything's good. And I'll consult when innovation comes. They'll reach out and I'll consult. They're great. But I decided that after being in the industry for 37 years and having my own company for many years, it was time for me to go back. It was time for me to serve the industry and not just one facility, because it was very abundantly clear with all the phone calls and all the podcasts and all the webinars that I was doing that we all needed to come together and we needed to figure it out fast. And so with that being said, July 1st, I made a choice to go back to my company where I'm a CEO and consultant for fitness products. I work with major brands, and I do a lot of executive coaching and life coaching. And I'm still working with core health and fitness. And I'm doing just a lot of speaking in South Korea. I just did 4 presentations. I was supposed to be there, but I chose not to get quarantined for 14 days. I decided to record it. And then, and then, you know, and like literally, I think everybody was kind of going through life, going really fast, and we were good, right? And then COVID hit, and we thought,
so,
and then
when I approached you, what I thought was so important, because when I'm doing these lives, I love to hit as many people from a local standpoint to broad, because that's what we do in our classes, and, you know, and in everything really that you and I do. It's to reach a broad audience. So what I loved is that I feel like no matter what pocket you're in, here in Jackson, we're experiencing a wild ride of tourism. While it doesn't mean it affects my business, that's not what my business looks like. I'm watching what's going on in my community, to Laguna Beach, where you are, to listening to our friends all across the country, no matter what their profession is, And I feel like you have such a great broad reach with your messages, which is why when you made that last post of writing your own story, it's a big part of what I believe as well. I thought I really wanted to bring this to the forefront, because, you know, your ideas and your thoughts, they reach such a broad audience. So that is what, here we are today, to reach the audience and encourage people to pivot with power, and the power of the mind and the body and the spirit and everything that you embody. So that is, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for taking the time to, away from Korea to come on in here. So thank you.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I share my story because, I think what's annoying sometimes, because I'm one who likes to keep it real, is when someone comes on and says it's sunshine and roses, because they're okay, because they're not being impacted. Like, listen, everybody's been impacted, and the world has changed, and so must we. You know, I was given the blessing of making a choice, and it was a ballsy choice, but I made it, and I'm glad I did, because I know my why. I know why I was put here on this earth, and I'll talk about that later. But I really believe that the world has changed, and so must we. And when you are given opportunities, there's just that split second to decide, what's my why? What keeps me authentic? And when I look back, will this be part of my legacy? Will this be a part of my story? How can I serve? And my why from day one has always been to hit the masses with fitness. From realizing, teaching what a high it is to impact people physically, when they walk in to they walk out. You see that. And then from there, I was a coordinator, and then I was a regional, and then I was a divisional, and then I went international, and then I went back as a company as an executive to share my concept. And then I went to another role as an executive to create a new category. And now, with everything hitting, it was very clear to me my why was to serve the industry, because the industry has changed, as every industry has changed, and everything we do in life, our skills transfer. So I might be talking fitness, but this lines up with accounting, this lines up with restaurants, hospitality, airline industry. And I think the one thing the pandemic has done really well is people have slowed down. And you have to slow down to speed up. And people who are slowing down, and a lot of it's not by choice, clearly, I talk fast, I move fast. I've been on planes once a week for the past 16 years. I average about 200,000 miles a year. I haven't flown in 4 months. P.S. Don't miss it at all. But the reality is the world has to slow down before we speed up. And so one thing I would suggest, and Dr. Phil says, you know, don't make any big decisions the first 6 months. Now, I understand people have to make money, and you got to do what we got to do. But I would say slow down and take this time to really evaluate what matters to you. I had to sit down and decide what makes me happy. I put together a list of things of what makes me happy. And the funny thing is, and the shocking thing was, by the way, that's your homework, is I looked at that list and I was hardly doing it. I was so busy doing all these other things that had a big title and a lot of revenue and a lot of busyness. And so I had to slow down and recognize what made me happy, and yet what I need to do to be, pay my bills and stay alive. And I think the big thing is I had to go back to my why. I think in busyness, we forget our why. And when you forget your why, you're not going to make it through the storms. And this is not a storm. This is a freaking tornado, earthquake, and everything all in one.
Right.
So a lot of people say, I want to do this, but they don't recognize you have to have a why first. Then you have to work on the how to get to the what. And a great example is, Julie, you're a great example. So many people come to me and say, I want to be a master trainer. I want to do what you do on stage. Well, most of those people say that when they see me on stage, and I'll say, how long have you been Schwinn certified? And they're like, oh, I don't even teach cycle. Like, Julie, you knew it took, even with your skill set, probably about 7 years to join our team.
Yep.
You have to have the love, the passion, the education to keep sucking it up and to do what you need to do, to be the very best, to be in front of people. Then once you have your why, Julie wanted to do it. Then her how was, okay, how do I do this? Well, I need to work with Doris. I need to work with a team. I have to go through, was it like a year and a half for you to get on board?
Yeah, definitely.
Which, by the way, there's something called choosing your charities. And sometimes when you do that, you do things for free to eventually get a payment. And then long term, you are a master trainer, and you're not only a master trainer, you're featured on our rides. I mean, you're a big player on our team. And so the big thing is you need to know your why. Mine is to hit the masses. How I'm doing it is through my consulting company. And it's been really fun because I'm getting hammered by all these different things. And then what will happen is I'll make an impact. And that's, at the end of the day, is what matters to me.
Mm-hmm. So what advice could not, I don't always think that there is a natural ability to just dig your heels in. I don't know if that comes naturally, and maybe you have your opinion on that, but I know everyone is capable of it. So for those who are having a hard time digging their heels into whatever it is, even if it's just feeling good about themselves right now, or so much mystery, is there the simple step? Because we associate it a lot with our career, how to keep people moving and happy, and including ourselves, whatever that means in this time. But what about, people who are really confused and maybe feeling a little lost, and almost like peeling back the layers and starting with some simple processes to just make ourselves feel better and maybe educate ourselves on what that why is, or get a little closer to what it could be?
Well, first of all, everybody needs to extend themselves grace.
Mm-hmm.
Just extend yourself grace. And this industry right now, the pandemic is causing that too. There are so many people who are displaced. There are industries that are displaced, that those skill sets now need to transfer in another industry. But, at the end of the day, there's a grief cycle. It's almost like a death or a divorce. There's shock, and then there's your anger, and then there's acceptance. I think you need to really sit through all that. You need to sit in that space and just cry your eyes out, be pissed, start discovering what you learn from it. Because, by the way, there's lessons in everything. Nobody's perfect. And so I would say be still. One thing, I'm a Christian, so obviously I do a devotional and prayer every day, but I'm doing a 200 yoga series through Yoga Assets, a 200-hour yoga teacher training. And I've really been leaning hard on the meditation. And so the meditation has been really helpful. So the first thing is, number one, give yourself time to accept it. And if that means being in your own space every morning for about 10 minutes, I'll find a scripture, I'll meditate on it for 10 straight minutes. I'll do my devotional. Just get your head right, get your heart right. So that. Number two, I would say write down what makes you happy. Like what makes you happy? And, I was discovering I like having dinner with my husband at night. Like, I can't tell you, like, I've seen this guy more in the last 4 months than 17 years.
And I like having dinner with your husband too. I love your husband.
Yeah, all right.
I love him.
Yeah. And so that's super important. And then I think at the end of the day, you write your own story. Like, you just got to call it. You got to be the hero of your own story. You have to save yourself. The queen saves herself. Okay. You have to save yourself in the sense that, listen, I know there's people out there who are really struggling. Now, saving yourself does mean sometimes you got to do what you got to do what you want to do, right? You got to hustle here to make this happen. But I think this time right now, it's time to rewrite your story. It is time to sit there and go. A lot of people are doing major changes in their career. People are making major changes in their lifestyle. people are making major changes. And what's what's great about it is this downtime is causing people to really recognize, is all that stuff really important? Because the most important stuff, by the way, isn't stuff. It's relationships, right. It's people, it's fulfillment, it's your why. So I would also tell you, be brave right now. Say yeah, like yes is the most important word. It's the most important word because yes dictates your time, which dictates your life, which dictates your legacy. So everything you say yes to is shaping your schedule, it's shaping your personality, is shaping your quality of life, and it's shaping what you're giving back to the world. So I think you need to have a little bit of an 80-20 rule. 80% of yes is going to have to support you, and it's going to be not safe, but it's going to be in your wheelhouse. Say yes to 80, but the other 20% right now, go for it. Go for it. Try things. And when I say 20% is because hopefully you can afford that 20% of time. And what I found is when people find out that 20% and they do it and they love it, they don't look at the clock.
Right.
Studio. And then guess what? They usually can create a career, carve a career out of it, or a passion, or a lifestyle, or fulfillment. So I would say right now, extend yourself grace and be brave. Those are the two big words I would say. And, it would be so easy for me to sit back and be like, boo-hoo, this is what happened. But this isn't the first time this happened to me. Like, stuff happens in life, from growing up to, being divorced to, 9/11 wasn't as traumatic, but it was traumatic in many ways. I was connected with someone who was in the airline industry, so it was very stressful. And then you have this pandemic. Like, you're going to find trials in life. This one, fortunately, everybody's experiencing it, right? Like, you're not the only one. So there's no normal. There's so much grace. And so now's the time to just be brave. Like, you want to be a life coach? Be a life coach. You want to doodle? Like, I'm seeing people color. Do your
right.
I'm doing puzzles. I haven't done puzzles since I was 5. Of course, I'm drinking a martini when I'm doing it, but
but that makes it that much better.
So my biggest thing to tell people is, someone goes, basically, you're telling them to put on the big girl panties. Yes and no. I'm telling you, you own your life. The most powerful words you have are yes and no. Yes and no. And yes will dictate your calendar and your future. So be careful on your yeses. Like, make sure they really support what you want. And how do you know that? Because you got to write down what you love. And then the 20%, go wild. And with everything going on, nothing's normal. Business takes 10 times harder to do. It's not on point. I mean, we see videos with fitness instructors with their beds not made and cats running through the shot, and nobody cares.
Right.
A couple of years ago, if Peloton did that, they would have lost their business.
Right.
And so the world is super gracious right now. So
right.
Make mistakes and make them fast. But now's the time to really go for it. And I really hope today, sharing my story and telling you what I'm telling you, I'm coming from a place of humility, as I never thought I'd be here. It's a year since I won Instructor of the Year. I teach virtually now because I can't even get a class because all the clubs are closed in Southern California.
Right.
Like, I can't even be hired. So I'm doing everything virtually. Now, I could sit back and go boo-hoo, or I could say, okay, that's fine, I'll go virtually. So there's workarounds, and I never thought I'd teach virtually. It's fun. It's a little lonely and technical, but it's fun. And I'm actually doing presentations globally. I filmed 4 sessions for South Korea this week. I was on a Atlanta, SDW Atlanta Live, where we did a 10-hour Schwinn certification. My partner was in Washington. Like, the world's coming together. It's unbelievable what's happening.
I know.
The thing is, I like the word pivot. We just have to pivot. Don't give up. Don't give in. Just pivot.
Well, I have found that I am picking up the phone more. I am just communicating with people more. who that I have enjoyed, who I have missed talking to, and I miss the human contact, even though I am open and I would hire you in a heartbeat, right? Right? But I am open, but the numbers are small and it's a different experience, but I miss that human connection. And I find that with that extra time, you're able to pick up the phone and talk. And that is so incredibly healthy and therapeutic in itself. What we did not mention when we started is you are an ambassador for 𝘋𝘰𝘳𝘪𝘴 Shoes, which is an amazing shoe company, female focused. And if you are listening in, or if you listen to this over the next 24 hours, make sure Doris is going to give you a little homework. Put your homework in, or let us know. I'll let you explain that, but we're going to pick a winner for a free pair of 𝘋𝘰𝘳𝘪𝘴 shoes. Now, who could not use a free pair of shoes right now? So Doris, what is everyone's homework?
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write down, here are 5 steps I want you to consider. So write these down, and then I'm going to tell you your homework. First thing I want you to do is I want you to write down, first of all, schedule time for yourself. No cats, no dogs, no kids, just yourself, okay? Find that space. Get up early if you have to do it. Write down what makes you happy. And for some people, they're like, I don't know, because I'm so used to taking care of everybody else. I don't know, because I was used to working 40 hours a week and now I don't have a job. It's a shocking question. If you're lost, that's okay. Totally okay. Second thing is network your buns off. Put yourself out there. Talk to everybody and anybody about what you do and what your skill sets are, because all your skill sets are completely transferable. Mm-hmm. The third thing is keep learning, keep learning. I'm working on precision nutrition, which is a phenomenal certification. I'm also doing a 200-hour yoga certification, which I would have never had time to do with Yoga Assets. So keep learning. Fourth thing is be brave. Like, just go for it. So, if you want to pick up Tahitian hula dancing, do it now. Ceramics, whatever, just do your thing. Create your own business. And then the fifth thing is slow down to speed up. Slow down and be methodical and thoughtful to your yeses. Your yeses and nos are most powerful. So here's your homework. I would like to know, of those 5 things, tell me which one you're going to implement next week. So you might say, I'm going to write down. So I'm going to do, the first one would be, what makes you happy? Here are 3 things that make me happy. You can send that to us. We won't share it with anybody. Just send it. You're going to send it to Julie. Is that how we're doing it?
No, actually, just write it in the comments here, and then we can keep in touch. You'll be able to see it. I'll be able to see it.
Let's do this. Tell me one thing you're going to do next week to write your story. Let's keep it private.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, but if you would like to have personal coaching, like Julie will give you my contact information.
Absolutely.
I do happiness coaching. I'm certified. It's based out of Harvard, by the way, and some life coaching. But the reality is, what are you going to do next week to write your own story? And it could be, by the way, just getting out of bed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I will most definitely, in this link here, I will make sure to include your contact information, because what I know about you is you are generous with your heart and your soul and your time. And friend, mentor, legend, everything, all of the above. It is always a treat to talk to you and be with you and share your ideas and your thoughts. And I know that I wouldn't be where I am today without you. So thank you for lifting me up and others, as always. The amount of people you've lifted up in your career is probably overwhelming if you actually knew the number. So, but
I think the big thing is one of my biggest compliments was the first time I was up for Instructor of the Year. I did not win. And Tatiana Kovalou looked at me and she said, "You are so resilient, Doris." And that to me is the biggest compliment. Be resilient. Right. I don't know the answers. No one's life is perfect, no matter how it looks on social media. Right. But the reality is, be resilient. And resilience is like a muscle. You have to work at it. You just have to work at it. And I just wish everybody safety. And I also wish everybody to just really honor themselves where they're at.
I think that is the most perfect way to end this. Thank you so much for your time. Again, homework. You want to win. Let's do a little heart together. You want to win a free pair of shoes? Give us your homework in that box. We'll pick that over the next 24 hours. And again, thank you. Thank you all for joining us, and have a safe and healthy day and weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.